be more specific, chronic stress and lack of sleep. So there's this vicious cycle. So I want you to leave today with an idea of how your meditation practice really can help you get better sleep by breaking that cycle. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's Anna, and I teach meditation classes. And usually when people first come to my classes or first take a meditation class, they immediately equate meditation with religion, maybe specifically Hinduism or Buddhism. And I don't teach Buddhism. Actually, next week I will be teaching a class on Buddhism, but when I teach, a meditation class, it's just about relaxation. And then you can take the Buddhism class, which actually is an awesome class on Buddhism. So once people get the idea that meditation equals relaxation, then there's always a wise guy in the class that says, well, isn't sleep relaxation? And then what's the difference between meditation and sleep if meditation is relaxation and we're relaxing during sleep? So that's a good question. And then somebody also always wants to know, well, what's the difference between meditation and hypnosis? Aren't they really closely related? Maybe they're the same thing. So for all of you that might have those questions brewing in mind, let me just say that if you fall asleep during my talk, or if you fall asleep during a meditation class, I'm going to hypnotize you and have you walking around like a chicken, and everybody else is going to laugh at you. And then you'll really have an intimate knowledge of the difference between meditation and sleep and hypnosis. But let me grab my cheat sheet quickly. But for this talk, we're going to focus on relaxation and meditation. So everybody here has slept, right? At some point, I hope. Maybe you're here because you have lack of sleep too. But everybody here knows about sleep, right? Everybody here has done a little bit of meditation, at least today, right? So let me just ask really quickly, can anybody throw out any ideas about maybe what the differences are between sleep and meditation? Since there's usually a lot of wisdom out there.
When you're sleeping, you are below consciousness. When you're meditating, you get conscious.
Great. Okay, great. Anything else? Anybody want to argue with it? Yeah.
I would present the case that you have a different rather than a low consciousness because of if you are a dreamer, and your dreams can give you everything from insight into your life to precognitive situations. Like this morning, early, I dreamed of a young, older girl, probably myself, and a younger boy. And I came here, and what did I receive? It was probably kind of both my life, but also something to come by way of those darling children. And in my dream, they were the same age, which my brother and I were when I first became a mother, so to speak, because I tended him. So there was a lot of medicine in their songs for me. So not to go on too far,
but it sounds like a big part of what you're saying is that there can be a lot of consciousness, even maybe more than we're even aware of.
Beyond my own ego, anyway.
Yeah,
More
during sleep.
The reality of.
So lots happening during sleep. Thank you, Carol. So that begs the question too, what's happening during sleep? So since I have a time limit on my little presentation here, just by a show of hands, I have a couple of questions. Maybe we can get a little survey. How many of us think that sleep is kind of obsolete? Like there's so much to do during the day that if we could find a way to have less sleep and do more. Would that appeal to anybody here?
Used to, yeah.
Or used to? Okay. Okay, no, I think this is a pretty enlightening group, but yeah, I mean, there's so much to do. I mean, even more. It's okay, not for Wayne, never mind. All right. So what about, how many of us think that nothing happens during sleep other than just relaxing? Anybody here think that? This is a pretty enlightened group. Okay. What about this? Anybody here think that normally during sleep, during a night of sleep, we should just be sleeping all night without waking up? Okay. Anybody else?
Wait, what was the question?
That, like, during a healthy 8-hour night of sleep, or however many hours that you sleep, that by definition, a good night's sleep means that you're not waking up during your sleep.
I think so.
I think
Yeah.
so too.
Okay.
I like that to
I mean,
happen.
we go different levels that should be waking up.
Way back when I was a baby.
But at least get some good sleep without waking up and jumping up. Well, let me just say that all those answers a week ago, if I were sitting out there, I would definitely raise my hand to each of those. And over the past couple of weeks, by studying sleep and lack of sleep, right, and meditation, actually, it's very interesting. It's not as clear-cut. So I'm going to describe the sleep cycle and sleep architecture a little bit here. So by the sleep cycle, that's like saying the day cycle. You know, when you think of a day cycle, it's not just the day, it's also the night, right? So the sleep cycle, by my definition, I think is also during the day, the wake cycle, right? You wake up, you go through your day, and actually, I'll segue here to my brain states. Can everybody see my brain state signs? And if you can't, yeah, there's a couple of chairs up here, if you want to move up here, where you can trust the rest of us. So, during the day, we're in mostly beta state, and beta state is very erratic. And that brainwave state, the waves are very close together. They have a high frequency, but they have a very shallow, amplitude. They're like this. But during the day, I mean, a lot's going on. Even if you're driving, maybe even as you were driving here, you know, you're driving, you're cruising, you know, up 7th East or whatever, so maybe your brain state's like this. Then you come behind, you know, a car and you feel boxed in by cars, and then maybe your brain state changes a little, and then maybe somebody slams on the brake, or you're stopped at a red light for too long, and then it changes. And who knows what else goes on during the day. You know, you talk to somebody, your brain state changes. And then during the day we take a nap, right? So during the nap, maybe we get more into the alpha, and maybe even into these other states, but I'll get into those in a minute. And the alpha state is, yeah, it's more relaxed than the beta state, and it's also erratic, but, okay, you can't see this by my very detailed drawing, but it's a little less frequent, a little slower frequency of the waves, and a little more amplitude. And it's more relaxed than beta, and a little more what they call synchronous instead of disynchronous. So during the day, maybe you take a nap, right? Or maybe you meditate. So I'm going to consider that part of our sleep cycle too, and you'll see why. And then, so then you go through your afternoon, maybe you go to school, you come home from school, you play sports, or whatever you like to do, play with your koala. And then at some point, you decide it's time to go to sleep. And this is a choice. Or you fall asleep because you're so exhausted. But usually, you have a choice to choose what time you go to sleep, and then what time you wake up, right? So that's, in a nutshell, the whole sleep cycle. But also during the sleep cycle is the part of the sleep cycle that we call sleep, right? And So now I'm going to describe a little bit of the sleep architecture, what happens during the night when you fall asleep. So first you get in bed, maybe you're in beta state, you've been working, you've been watching a movie, whatever, you've been reading a book, and then you start to relax, you get into alpha state a little bit, and then you get in bed and you're making the choice to fall asleep. So, and these are down here, theta and delta, these are starting to get into the stages of sleep. So stage 1 of sleep is mostly theta. And theta, you probably can guess, is the frequency is a little less frequent, a little slower frequency, and more amplitude than alpha state. And you're relaxing. So this is theta. And it's also a little disynchronous, but it's more synchronous than alpha and even more synchronous than beta. So that's theta. That's stage 1 sleep. And then, these last, it varies. And then stage 2 sleep is mostly theta, but stage 2 is characterized by having these occurrences where you have theta, but then you have these little spindles like this. Maybe you've seen things like that on pictures of brainwaves. And stage 2 sleep is also characterized by these occurrences of what's called K complexes, where you'll get a spike going up and get a spike going down. And who knows what's going on during that. But that's what the scientists say. We don't really know what happens. But, you're all scientists here. So the next time you're sleeping, see if you can pay attention. Because I'm starting to get some ideas, and maybe Carol is too, and maybe you are too, what's going on. Find out. So anyway, and then let me know. And then, let's see, delta. So this is stage 1, this is stage 2, and then you get into stage 3, where delta. And delta is actually, stage 3 is mostly theta, but then you'll get some delta, which are, as you probably guessed, even slower frequencies of waves and even more amplitude. So you're relaxing even more. And stage 3 is characterized by having less than 50% of delta waves. So mostly theta, but you're getting delta waves. And then stage 4 is more than 50% delta waves. And these two, the stage 3 and 4, those are considered deep sleep. And that's when your body's really relaxed. And that's actually what they call beauty sleep. And the reason it's called beauty sleep is because these are the stages where your body is actually producing human growth hormone. Hello? Who doesn't want to get their hands on a vial of that stuff? And so human growth hormone and what's the other big one? Stem cells. And so that stuff is, this is what they say, we all have heard it since we were kids, get good night's sleep, but who wants to because there's so much to do? Well, this is the reason why. You want to get down there. But then, okay, so here's the cycle, or the architecture. So here you're awake, right? You're falling asleep, you're getting relaxed. Here you're in stage 1, here you're in stage 2. You get down to stage 3, and this isn't, completely accurate as far as a representation of your sleep. And then you get down to stage 4, and you're there for a little bit. And then what happens is then you come back up. But you don't come all the way back up to being awake, but you come up to having a brain state or brain wave pattern that looks like being awake, and that's REM. So this is when you're dreaming, REM, rapid eye movement. And a lot of stuff's happening there too. And so then this whole period, this whole cycle lasts about 90 minutes. so about an hour and a half, right? And over and over and over again, they do these studies, and basically, most of these studies are studying people that have lack of sleep, right, to find out why sleep is so important, right? Because you can't wake somebody up and ask.
Hey, how's it going?
That was pretty funny. Yeah. So you figure if you sleep, and so all these studies, and I've tried to disprove this for years, right? That, 8 hours of sleep, I don't need that. I can, it's like have a great Sunday. Thank you. See you guys later. Have great school tomorrow. So if you figure you get 8 hours of sleep, like they recommend, you're going through this about 5.5 times, right, roughly. So about 5.5 times during your night of sleep, and here's something that completely shocked me when I found it out a couple of days ago. And that's that the second half of your night's sleep, you're going through this, you've gone through this about 2.5, 3 times, and then halfway through your night's sleep, what happens is that, you're going to wake up a little bit. And then you just go back to sleep, and then, you do it all again.
Like a bathroom break or something?
What's that?
Like a bathroom break or something?
Sure. I mean, maybe it's your bathroom break. You go up, you go to the bathroom, you come back, you fall back asleep. Or maybe maybe you don't even notice. I think most of the time you don't even notice. If you think that you're having one of those nights of sleep where you don't wake up, you actually are waking up. You just don't remember. You wake up, you fall back asleep, no big deal. Well, when I read that, all of a sudden it was like a light bulb. It's like bringing your car to the mechanic, right? You don't bring your car to the mechanic and then turn it off and think your car's going to just sleep and get better and that the mechanic's going to come and wave a magic wand over the car, right?
That doesn't happen?
You're kidding me.
It might happen tomorrow when we bring my car in. But what happens is, usually I think, that what I've heard, is that you bring your car in, you describe your symptoms, right? And then the mechanic might have you start it, drive it around a little bit, listen to it, turn it off for a while, right? Maybe 3.5 hours or whatever. Do, his or her fixie things on it, whatever they do. Maybe it involves magic wands, I don't know. But then, they're going to turn it back on, listen again, turn it off, tweak it, turn it on, see if things are hooking up, see if things are communicating with each other correctly, turn it off. I mean, even that process is turning it on and off, right? Well, same thing's happening while you're sleeping. Isn't that interesting? So if you wake up during the night, that's okay. But a lot of us have problems sleeping every once in a while. I mean, I'd ask for a show of hands, but if you don't raise your hand, you're probably just lying. I mean, we all have trouble sleeping once in a while, right? So,
That's since I started meditating.
awesome. So, can anyone throw out where the problem spots are in getting sleep? Now, I want to just, before we even go any further, there's stuff that is beyond my scope, like sleep apnea and, other medical issues. But besides medical issues, like what's the, Ren?
That keeps you awake, or?
Well, keeps you awake. So where are the parts in the sleep cycle that you're having issues?
That me specifically?
Yeah.
I usually get a really good night's sleep, but every now and again, it's because I'm in my head too much. I'm thinking way too much.
Right. And that usually happens, let me guess.
During the wake cycle, when I'm almost awake, then that stress hits me. Ah!
Right.
Right, those papers are gonna...
Or right before you fall asleep, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's, okay, so, thank you. Yeah, I mean, you just kind of jumped right ahead, but thank you, you did it for me. But I mean, isn't that true? And if anyone disagrees, please raise your hand. But it seems that most of our sleep problems happen when we're first trying to go to sleep, right? We have trouble falling asleep. Or maybe we've fallen asleep, but then when we wake up and then falling back asleep. Is that right for everybody here? Most people?
Mostly.
Mostly. And then, can we also agree that most of the issues have to do with the thoughts that we're having? And that most of those, and who knows, maybe there's other things happening too. But for the most part, what's that?
Physical, pain or discomfort and all
Right.
that.
There's physical pain and discomfort, right? Get a good mattress, get a good night's sleep. I'll show you something that, this is my new invention. My sister sent me this as like a wintertime neck warmer. Have you guys seen this? For like skiing? These are awesome for skiing. They're nice. And you know how I use this at night? This is like my new invention. I call them my little sleepy heads. Okay, don't laugh. But, so this, like, Michael's on his iPad, and I just do this, right? But if I were to market this, I'd put like more like padding over the ears. But if you can, like you're right, physical stuff. So if you can mitigate the physical sleep depriving issues, like having your room be dark, having it be mostly quiet,
I like noise.
or having, something that gives you some of that white noise to help you sleep. And having it be cooler, because when you're too warm. So this could be like a whole other list of how to get good sleep. Don't exercise right before you go to sleep. Don't take a bath that's too hot. You don't want to raise your body temperature right before you go to sleep. Don't eat right before you go to sleep. Yeah, so this is, but for our topic today, we're going to focus on the issue of stress, right? Of chronic stress. So, let's see where I am in my little notes. Because I think that can go a far way in helping you get some good sleep. Okay. So now I have a little chart. All right. Okay, so here's our Larry, thank you. Okay, can everybody see my awesome chart here? More or less. Okay, so we have our chronic stress, lack of sleep cycle, all right? And, okay. So chronic stress, maybe this is even before it's too chronic, but, something's tweaking you a little bit. Maybe you've seen Jurassic Park 2 or whatever. So you're having trouble getting to sleep. So then you have lack of sleep, right? You wake up in the middle of the night worrying about, what were they? The worst.
Dinosaurs.
Yeah, dinosaurs. Or your daughter gets dropped off at the airport to go to Washington, D.C., and you have a nightmare that it's your task to get her to the airport and you can't find her tickets or whatever, right? So you wake up in the middle, or you have a class and you wake up in the middle of the night. Lack of sleep. So these sleep studies, finding out what happens when you have lack of sleep, the symptoms are irritability, right? You lose your ability to verbalize. Maybe I don't know. What else? Slower reaction time, impaired judgment. They actually attribute some major disasters, like the Valdez crash and I think it was the Space Shuttle Challenger crash. They actually attribute a lot of these crashes and problems to lack of sleep. So just figure in your own day, you're a little cranky, so maybe you get in an argument with somebody, or something happens at work. That's going to feed into your stress, right? And then that's going to give you something else to worry about the next day, right? And so then you're going to get more or less sleep, more lack of sleep, and then you have even more lack of stress. So this is a cycle that really, it's a vicious cycle. It just feeds itself, and pretty soon Yeah, you chronically can't sleep well, and you're chronically pretty stressed out. Everybody following me so far? I'm not the only one this happens to, right?
No,
Okay.
this just barely happened again.
It barely happened again? Okay, so how does meditation help with these? Well, one thing meditation does, and this also might answer why people often, not all the time, and even if they don't want to cluck like a chicken, why people will fall asleep during meditation class, it's because they're actually shifting their brains, and maybe you felt that today while you were meditating. I saw you levitating, Andy. But your brain waves shift from beta to alpha. I mean, this is a typical meditation state, is an alpha state, you're relaxed. And then, typically, when you're a seasoned meditator, you dip down into theta. Well, of course you're going to fall, maybe you'll fall asleep a little bit, or maybe you're not going to fall asleep, you're still very aware, but you're very relaxed. So, I mean, this goes a long way to helping break this cycle. So you could do your meditation right before you go to sleep and start dipping down into to the slower cycles of the brain waves and help you get some sleep. So meditation helps your brain waves. And also, a lot of times when we do meditation, at least in my classes, I really want you to feel what that feels like. And that's so that maybe during the day or maybe at night when you're getting ready to sleep, remember what that felt like. And then even just remembering what that feels like, what that felt like today after meditation, just remember that tonight, what that felt like, and see if you can feel that again. Okay, so another big reason meditation helps with this cycle is that meditation also produces chemicals in your body that help you get some sleep by helping cut down on your stress. So while you meditate, and then if you do it regularly, even during the day when you're not meditating, you're actually reducing your output of cortisol and adrenaline and the stress hormones, and your body is also getting rid of them. So just the levels of those hormones going around in your body drop down. Another thing is that, so that helps mitigate your stress. The funny thing is that after you've meditated for a while, you start feeling normalized, and you don't realize, how much it helps. And then maybe you say, well, I don't need it anymore. It's like going off your meds, I guess. I don't need that anymore. I feel fine. And then after a while, your family says, you were so nice back when you used to meditate. So anyway, how come no one's laughing at that? Why isn't my husband
I
laughing?
have a wry smile.
And I have a question for you.
Right smile's good, yeah.
So when you, a seasoned meditator, get into that chronic stress cycle, do you kind of let everything else gets in the way so you don't meditate as much as you know you should or could, or do you continue?
Oh,
with
without a
meditation?
doubt. No, I tend to, suffer, and, I mean, I'm human. But since I'm a meditation teacher, I chalk that up as study, as an experiment. So I'm doing an experiment by not meditating this week. So,
As soon as I stopped and went, okay, this is crazy, I gotta get my life back, and I laid down and meditated for an hour, I slept much better.
isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Or your husband comes in and says, oh, I'm so glad you're meditating again. You're so much nicer when you do that. So another thing that the brain and body chemicals that are produced when you meditate is melatonin. And we'll get into that on the other side of this paper. But melatonin also helps synthesize the human growth hormone and heal you. And it also helps you regulate sleep. Another big sleep regulator is self-discipline and having a good habit. So I think I don't know, a lot of us that are movers and shakers and doers, it's hard for us to remember we need to block out 8 hours of sleep, right? It's hard to remember why it's important to get to sleep on time and to, yeah, get a full night's sleep, even if that does mean waking up a little bit. So self-discipline. And just by meditating, that helps build that muscle of self-discipline. But also it's like playing with blocks, right? This architecture. You stick one block in there, that's going to help inform the structure of your day, your sleep-wake cycle. You start having some structure there. Another reason why meditation helps is during your meditation, by focusing, if you're doing a meditation that you're focusing on, it could be your breath or whatever you're focusing on, that's mental discipline, aka strength training for your mind. So when you have self-discipline and you're doing your mental training, you're practicing how to refocus. So you're practicing a couple of things. You're practicing through meditation how to just check in and see how you're doing. So while you're laying in bed, you can't sleep. Okay, so you realize, okay, I can't sleep. And then you realize why. Well, it's because I'm stressed out, I'm having these thoughts. So self-awareness. And then you realize, hey, I know how to deal with this. I know how to shift my focus. And then you practice it, right? It's work, right? It's not, just like turning on the TV and it comes on. It takes a little bit more effort than, clicking a button. But that's your strength training. And then also in meditation, you learn the power of posture. And so same with sleeping. You lie down, be in a nice, relaxed posture while you're sleeping. So any questions on a couple of the reasons why meditation helps? Can everybody see that? How lucky you are for having a meditation practice, and how you can maybe use it to get better sleep? Okay, so on this next piece of paper, and Larry, you mind helping me? Thank you. We're going to get into, if you read that here.
Hannah, we have about 4 minutes of battery left.
Thanks, Larry. So, here's my grand wrap-up, and I might go over 4 minutes, but barely. So one thing that I've noticed about sleep and meditation and how they actually benefit each other, well, especially how meditation benefits sleep, and how they fit together, just by looking at the benefits of each too, and when you do them. So sleep, when do you sleep? You sleep, hopefully about 8 hours, between 6 and 9 or 10. 8 hours a night, so you're doing this at night. But the benefits that you derive from sleep, you notice during the day. And those benefits are clarity of thought and speech. You can think more clearly. Memory and learning. This is a big, all this information this is just like a basic outline, but there's so much even behind all this. So memory and learning happens during sleep, but you notice it during the day, right? Healing and health and repair, cellular reparation, human growth hormones, stem cells, your beauty sleep, muscle repair, strengthening and toning and coordination. All your systems, like that mechanic turning things on and off and seeing if the systems are all hooking up, all those systems get cleaned out. You get your antifreeze cleaned out, you get all your little things tuned up. That happens during the night, but that helps you during the day, right? And if you're like me, then before a week ago, I'd rather not sleep at all if I could. So meditation, you do it during the day, but it really helps you get better sleep by helping you train your brain, right? Realizing when you have stress and learning techniques that I didn't talk about today, but that you can use to turn off stress, on peace, and relax. Mental and physical techniques to relax the mind, body, right? And just really quickly while you're laying in bed, just feel how nice it is to lay in bed, but really feel it. So that's a quick, mental, physical technique. Melatonin, right? You meditate during the day, but then at night, your body produces more melatonin by virtue of your having done your, 5 or 55 minutes of meditation during the day. Reducing cortisol, and that it builds good habits. And one of the number one things that you can do to improve sleep, if you really have, an issue with sleep, go see a doctor, see if you have sleep apnea or if something's happening that maybe you might need, medical intervention. But if that's not the case, or even if that is the case, a big thing that will help you get sleep is just by honoring sleep, taking care of yourself, and building good sleep habits, realizing how much is going on during sleep, and doing your little meditation practice, how it helps for sleep. Okay, that was my talk today.
Yay!
I hope you all have a great day. Hope you get
I have heard, or I believe I read, that, isn't it true too that meditation functions a lot for you, kind of like a power nap? I mean, it rejuvenates you.
It does, but you gotta figure that it functions and it does function as a power nap. And this is like a whole book worth of stuff, because I don't even know specifically all the benefits that each of these stages have. I mean, that's my next homework is self-assignment. I mean, I figured out that this is where the beauty sleep happens, and this is when your mechanic turns it off and then fixes it. I mean, she doesn't want to stick her hand in the engine while it's going, right? So, they kind of gear way down. But up here, a lot of stuff is happening too. I just don't know what. So these are the benefits that you get from meditation. So yeah, during the day, this is whatever the benefits that you get from sleep during these brainwaves, you're going to get these from meditation too. But you will lack these. So, but yeah, you're right. You get probably the relaxed, and I think that's a whole other talk. But I think maybe the memory and the learning stuff, some of that happens up here.
Well, yeah, I know, when I read it, to me, it's like, well, by the power of suggestion, I believe it. It's like, it seems to work for me, I mean, oh, okay, yeah. I don't know how it compares to, but, I've heard that. That seems really good.
It does, and it's also training you to, okay, so here's my little handout, and some of this is also in here. But, yeah, there's the other stuff, maybe you can know. But it's like bringing your car to the mechanic, Roger, the mechanic's doing the deep repairs. But then meditation is like bringing your car to the Bonneville Salt Flats, right? So you're still driving it, but you have your hands on the wheel, and you have your own hands on the steering wheel, and you're really learning what this thing is made of, right? And what you can do with it. So it really goes, meditation is learning your tools, seeing what tools you have. And if you've ever done anything where you learn a new set of tools, like rock climbing, and you realize those little shoes, how they can grip, and then it's like, wow, I can do anything, or welding, or whatever it is. When you learn a new set of skills and the tools, and then you realize when you have the right tools, and you know how to do them, you can do anything. And that's the benefit of meditation, is putting your hands on the steering wheel and figuring out, okay, let's see what this baby can do, you know, and really having fun with it, seeing what your mind can do. Yeah, experiment, see what your mind can do in these states, you know. Who knows, some people claim that they can get down in these states with conscious awareness too, and seeing what's going on, so yeah, it's cool stuff.